Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to episode 9 of the Next Season podcast. In our previous 3 episodes, we talked a lot about the pillars of the next season athletes. The first one being talent, the second one is effort, the third is ambition, and then the fourth pillar, which is today, is all about mindset. So the talent, effort, ambition, and mindset. This is the big one, right? And they're all big. They're all important. They're all critical. It's spokes in a wheel. But this is really where I want to focus because this is what makes the good, the great, and the great elite. What we're going to do is explore actionable strategies. We're going to tell some stories and give you some science-backed insights that are going to help you elevate that game on and off the field. And to set the stage for the 5 bricks of the mindset pillar, I need to highlight what is, in my view, one of the most incredible examples and stories of mastering the mindset in the history of baseball. And it's Jackie Robinson. When Jackie stepped onto the field in 1947 as the first African-American player in Major League Baseball, that was a pressure that I think that is beyond anything that most of us can even imagine. And I don't even think we fully appreciate really what he endured. I think the movie that came out a few years ago helps to kind of illustrate some of that, but I don't think it fully does it justice to really the emotion and the feeling and the day in and day out of what he faced. Every single game he faced hit. He wasn't just playing like what's an extremely humbling and challenging game on its own. He was playing against other players, many of whom didn't want him on field. They didn't want to play against him, and they made it known. Played in front of crowds that hated and yelled at him and booed him and said just horrific things. Opposing players would spike him on purpose. They would throw pitches at his head, and again, call him names that just I can't repeat. Even some of his own teammates didn't want him out there. But Jack's response is he didn't fight back. He didn't argue. He didn't show anger. He let his performance do the talking. He hit, he stole bases. He played the game the right way. He made incredible plays every single day. And his ability to stay calm and to block out that noise and to stay locked in on his mission is what opened the door for other players then to follow. He knew he wasn't just playing baseball. He was paving the way for generations of athletes in every sport, in society. And that is the power of mindset. It's about staying focused. It's about staying resilient and staying composed, even when the world around you is doing everything it can to throw you off your game. And stories like this remind us that baseball isn't just a physical game. It's mental. I'm going to talk about these things all the time. But there's thousands of examples of stories like this that just continue to illustrate how important mindset is. It's what separates the elite from the rest of us. And it's about knowing and trusting yourself, embracing those pressure situations and how you handle adversity, which are all mindsets. So we're going to cover today, and then probably break this into 2, but we'll cover today in the next episode, the 5 bricks that make the mindset pillar for next season athletes. So let's jump right in. The first brick, we call inside move. You know that baseball is a game of failure. You know that the best hitters in the world are going to fail at least 7 out of 10 times. And the difference between the good and the great isn't talent. It's controlling what you can control, controlling what's in your space, in your 3-foot space. That we play in pressure moments. That's what sports are. That's what athletics is. That's what baseball is. We want to compete. We want to win, but so does the other side. And when all of this happens physiologically, where we're in the heat of competition, where we're playing against somebody that also wants to win, and we care about how we do, we care about how we perform, and all the work that goes into it, when all of that happens physiologically, our body shows the signs of that impact. So your heart starts to beat faster, and your body temperature might increase, and your breathing can become faster, and you can sweat. You might shake a little. Everyone has different responses in how they handle that physiologically. And you might feel uneasy in your stomach. You might actually throw. Of course, your mind is starting to race too. And it's typically racing with negative thoughts, those worst case scenarios, the self-doubt. And so with this in mind, I want to really dive into the first brick of that mindset pillar. When you feel this happening, you need to run defense on it and then turn it into running offense. So if you're pitching, okay, you're on the mound, you're playing defense, and the opposing team has a runner on second base. And they're obviously trying to get that runner home, right? They're trying to get a bigger lead. They might try to steal a base. They might try to hit behind and anything they can to move them up and get them in. So how do you defend that? Well, one way to defend that runner on second base is for the pitcher to have what's called an inside move. It's how you can control the running game. On the field and in life, again, your mind is going to run. Negative thoughts, anxiety, worst case scenarios, doubt, distractions. They're all things that are rolling on your mind, and it's going to run you into a negative space. And just like a pitcher can use that inside move to keep the runner in check at second base, controlling the mind running game also requires an inside move, a mental move, a mental maneuver to pick that negative thought off. This is the first brick of the mindset pillar. So controlling your mental game is about recognizing that threat, recognizing that runner starting to creep towards third, right? It's about recognizing that and then implementing a play to make sure that it stops. Okay, controlling that mental game is about recognizing and then managing your internal state to stay grounded and effective. You can't flinch, you can't jump because it's a balk, then he's going to go up. So you got to stay composed, right? And this boils down to two key ideas that are part of this inside move. The first is agency, and the second is gratitude. Agency and gratitude. It's a concept that I took from psychiatrist and author Dr. Paul Conti. And Dr. Conti defines agency as recognizing and embracing the power that you have over your internal world. What he says is agency is about realizing that you are not a passenger in your life, you're the driver. Agency is about things that are in your world of control, in your sphere of control, what you can influence and control. And then understanding also what you can. Agency is your ability to shape your life actively, your world, your decisions with clarity and purpose and intentionality, as opposed to being influenced or shaped or manipulated by anything and everything external. It's about awareness, about taking ownership, it's about accountability and responsibility. So going back to episode 6, all about our standards and values, and the talent pillar is about taking to the oars, ownership, accountability, responsibility, and stewardship. So think about what you can control in a baseball game or in your baseball career, right? What are those things that you can control? I want you to think about this. What are the actual things that you can control? Everything that can happen in a game. You can control your mindset, which are your thoughts, your attitudes, your emotions, and your beliefs. We're going to talk about those. You can control your words, the words you say to yourself, or the words that you say to others. And within that, what you say and how you say it. Okay. So you can control your mindset. You can control your words. Of course, you can control your effort, the energy and the focus and the time that you dedicate to anything. You can control your behavior. You can control your body language. You can control your focus. You can control your training and preparation. You can control your visualization. You can control your habits. Okay. But there's things that you can't control. You cannot control other people's mindsets, their thoughts, their words, their actions, their behaviors, or anything else, right? Anything else that you have control over yourself, you cannot control in other people. You can't control outcomes. You can influence them. You can't control them. You can't control umpire calls. You can't control the weather. You can't control the field conditions. You can't control the opponent and their skills. You can't control the fans. You can't control the schedule. You can't control injuries. What happened in the past, what could happen in the future. You can't control luck. There's a whole bunch of things you cannot control, and a shorter list of the things that you can. You can influence a lot of those things, but you can't control them. But the problem is that most people spend the majority of their energy and their focus and their worry on the things that they can't control. And you only have a finite amount of energy and focus and attention and effort that you can give. And when you spend it on the things that you can't control, you don't have enough for what is in your world that you can control. The human brain is going to default to forecasting negative outcomes, right? It's just natural for what the human brain does is think about the worst case scenarios, all the negative things that can happen. And when that happens, it causes feelings and emotions of stress and anxiety. And we cannot perform optimally when we're in the state of stress and anxiety. Remember that sympathetic nervous system kicks up and we're in fight, flight, or freeze. We cannot perform optimally when we are in a state of stress and anxiety. When you're worrying, when you're anxious, what you're doing is you're stealing the strength and the focus that you need for that moment that you're in, right? What's actually happening in that present moment. And you're wasting it for what could happen in the future. And I say could, probably not likely to happen. Mark Twain said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Now, there is a time for processing the past. There's a time for reflecting on that. There's a time for preparing and planning for the future. But the present moment is where you need your mind and your body in the same place at the same time. And this is the basis of agency in the inside move brick. And I think it's important to understand some nuances and distinctions and some terms that I've already said here and things that you're going to hear a lot when it comes to mental performance, things like thoughts and feelings, emotions, beliefs, and things like that. I want to make sure that I'm able to weigh out some definitions or thoughts that I have around what the differences are, because it is important. It's a little bit of a nuance, but it is important. So thoughts are dynamic and ever-changing. You have very little control over the thoughts that come into your head, okay? We have all had times where we thought about things. I'm like, oh, that kind of feels dirty. That kind of feels cringy. That you cannot control the thoughts that you come in, okay? You can control what you think about those thoughts, and you can control how they influence your behaviors or words or actions, things like that. But you cannot always control your thoughts. You can control the response to them. So again, you have little control over the thoughts that come in, but you can be proactive with your thoughts and the response to those thoughts. Amit Ray says, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Your thoughts come into your head, you observe them. So what you want to do is you want to train yourself to recognize, again, the brain defaults to the automatic negative thinking. Actually, this is a term, it's called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. Your brain defaults to these patterns, and there's a whole bunch of them. Actually, what we'll do is there's a list, I think 9 of them, and there's some tactics to help fight them, right, and kill them. So that's thought. And there's emotions. Emotions are the physiological responses that are triggered by an event or a thought. They come and go quickly. They have corresponding and universal facial expressions and body language. So there's things that we observe in people, and almost every society has the same ones. They're brief, they're intense, and they're reactionary. Those are emotions. Feelings are the conscious experience of those emotions. So we have thoughts. Thoughts can influence emotions. Emotions then drive feelings. Feelings are the conscious awareness and experience of those emotions, the physical sensations that come up in response to an event or that situation. It's how we interpret the emotions that we're feeling, that we're experiencing, okay? For example, if you get anxiety before a big moment, that anxiety is an emotion, okay? The heart rate increase and the sweating and the turning of your stomach are the feelings associated with that emotion. They're in the interpretation of that emotion. And you have agency to control that feeling through how you prepare for it and how you respond. So there's things you can do in the lead up to those moments to prepare yourself to handle those better. And there's things you can do as you recognize that emotion, you recognize that feeling and how you respond with it. And if you've done the work, you say, I'm excited for this challenge. I'm ready for it. But if you haven't, those feelings can become overwhelming and shut you down. So again, these feelings are physical, they're emotional, and then they can drive what called the final one, which is mood. Mood is a state of mind. It's a general feeling that influences your thoughts, your behaviors, and actions. So moods tend to be less intense, but they're longer sustained, they're longer lasting. And they may not necessarily depend on an event or trigger. You could just be in a mood. And oftentimes if you find yourself saying, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, that's mood, right? It's the chronic layout of feelings and emotions over an extended period of time. Feelings are how we interpret emotions. Emotions can turn into moods, and moods can affect emotions. So it can be cyclical. So I just want to lay that out, just a couple differences and nuances, but it's important to understand, again, where the agency part comes in of what you can control and not control. Going back to one of my earlier points about the default of the human brain towards negative thinking and dread and worst case scenarios is that concept called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. And I'm going to do a different video on this. I'm going to put together a resource for ANTS and how you crush them. There are 9 of them. There are 9 ANTS, and there are 3 actions that you can take to help defeat them. This is next level stuff. This is not something that's super easy. This is something that everybody in every profession experiences. Everybody in the world experiences some or all of them. And so if there's 1 or 2 things you can take away from it, that's a huge win. So I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to put that together. I'm going to share it with you. We'll do a separate video. We'll do a resource. And I hope it's as useful for you as it has been for me. So all of this is agency. Again, it's understanding and practicing and controlling the controllables, the power of your mind and your body to align in that present moment and to create your path forward. Okay. I know this is a lot. That's just one part of one brick of the mindset pillar. So this is why mental game is challenging. This is why it's so important. The second part of Inside Move, of this brick of Inside Move, is gratitude. So we have agency, and now it's gratitude. What if I told you that gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise, but it's actually a superpower tool for resilience? It's a reset button for your brain. Again, quoting Dr. Paul Conti, he says the gratitude grounds us. It pulls us out of a spiral of stress and fear and anchors us in the present, where we can see the possibilities instead of problems, even under pressure. When we talk about gratitude, I'm not just talking about saying thank you or expressing some obligatory statement about being grateful for something, even if we don't really believe it, right? Real gratitude rewires your brain, literally. Dr. Conti explains that practicing gratitude can help ground us. It can pull our focus away from fears and anxieties and center us on what's real and what's good right now in the moment, even if it's something really, really small. Even if it's something like I'm grateful for this piece of gum I have in my mouth, right? It's stuff like that actually can start to rewire your brain. Neuroscience actually backs this up. So when you feel grateful, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which are your natural mood lifters. It's like hitting a mental home run. And I hate to use that example, but it's like hitting a mental home run without even stepping on the field. There's a leading researcher on gratitude who describes it as the ultimate performance enhancer. It boosts focus, it strengthens relationships, it reduces stress. It is the complete underutilized free tool in your toolkit that can improve every aspect of your life. Baseball is full of highs and lows. You got strikeouts, you got slumps, you got errors, and gratitude shifts that focus. So if you got hit by a pitch, be grateful for the free base. You get benched, great. It's your chance to rest, to observe, and to learn from new experiences, to connect. It's a chance to connect with your coach and hear about the strategy side of the game. Here's another one. Imagine you're in a slump at the plate, right? Instead of spiraling into frustration, gratitude shifts your mindset to, I'm thankful for the chance to get to practice my craft and get better, to put in those extra swings. It's not about ignoring the fact that you're 2 for your last 18, but reframe it as part of the process. A couple of things that you can do to help practice gratitude. I think gratitude journaling is great. I think journaling in general is great. And so it's very simple. I think a lot of people get hung up on doing things a certain way. And I think that a lot of people have trouble sticking to journaling. I know I struggle with it, but it doesn't have to be complicated. So it's just a couple of things, just write down a couple of things. It doesn't have to be super structured. Just the practice of writing it, physically writing it down though, is a great way to be very intentional and present with your gratitude. Okay. And I'm giving you some prompts too. I can share some thoughts and some ways that you can practice it. Again, reframe. Gratitude reframes is another one. Replacing I have to do this or, anything along those lines to I get to. Okay. So instead of I have to practice today, I get to improve my skills. Okay. Instead of I have to go to class, I get to go to class. And you're not lying to yourself, but you're putting in perspective of really what's most important. Pre-game gratitude rituals, again, thanking the world, the environment around you, okay, your teammates. So start small, grab a notebook, jot down a couple things you're grateful for. It's like taking a few practice swings before you step up to the plate. It's going to prime you for success. It's not just fuel for your mind, it's fuel for your life. And the best part, you don't need anything extra to start. It's already inside you. It's already there. So that's controlling your mind running game. Intensity and gratitude. Understand what you can control, understand what you can't, and be grateful for everything that you have. The second brick of the mindset pillar is win the inning. This summer, we took our kids to the Savannah Bananas game in DC, and it was an awesome day. If you haven't been, you need to go, even if it's just once. They absolutely know how to put on a show. And of course, one of the highlights was seeing one of our favorite players, Coach Rack, tank one into the seats and right in the ballpark of the team who drafted him 3 years earlier to the day. And his dad was there on the field with him. Every time I see that, every time I think about it, it still gives me chills. Coach Rack, that was an amazing experience. The Bananas, that was an amazing experience. And to be able to witness that and just see that moment was something we'll never forget. And one of the things I love about banana ball rules is the emphasis on winning the inning as opposed to a final cumulative score at the end of the game. And what it does is it creates opportunities for comebacks and excitement within each and every inning, not just at the end of the game. And you get to reset at each inning. And that's a lot more like life, right? If you think about days of the week, right? You've got 7 days in a week. If you lose one day, you've still got the rest of the week to win. If you lose 4.5, if you got 4.5-ish weeks in a month, if you lose 1 week, you've still got 3.5 weeks left in that month. You've got 12 months in a year. If you lose 1 or 2 months, you still got, 10 or 11 months left in that year. You don't have to throw away the rest of that time period because you had one short-term loss. That's the whole idea of win the inning. Success isn't about getting sporadic big hits or big plays and winning big games once in a while. It's about stacking those small wins over and over and over. Each inning is an opportunity for you to recalibrate and refocus and get back in the game, even if the last one didn't go as you planned. So you lost yesterday, you win today. You lost this morning, you win this afternoon, right? You lost a week. Okay, now the rest of the month, you got it on lock. Okay, that's the attitude of win the inning. And neuroscience backs this up with a concept called chunking. And this is the first part of brick number 2. Chunking means breaking a big task or a big goal into smaller, more manageable pieces, which makes even big, overwhelming, super challenging, super daunting tasks or objectives feel achievable. So by treating your day like a series of innings, okay, I'm going to start with my morning, or break it down even further. I'm going to start with my first 2 hours, a first hour, okay? Chunk it however you need to, but break things down into tasks. And if something goes sideways and you get thrown off track or you lack discipline for a little bit, you can pause, you can reset, and you can pull yourself back in. Time is not running out. Elite baseball players don't worry about the 9th inning in the 3rd inning, right? Or even the 8th. I'll be honest with you, not even the 8th. They focus on the 9th when they get to the 9th. I'm reminded of a story of Marcos Luttrell. And if you don't know who that is, he was a Navy SEAL. He's an author of 2 books, one of which was turned into a movie called Lone Survivor. And I'm not going to sit here and try and paint any correlation between a baseball game and what he experienced. But I want to illustrate a point. He was in a battle, a brutal battle in Afghanistan in the early 2000s. I think it was 2005, 2006, and was wounded and hurt badly. And he was alone and he couldn't walk and he crawled. And the way that he described it in an interview that I heard was he would reach above his head as he was face down and he had a stick and he would draw a line in the dirt with a stick and he would crawl on his belly until his toes hit that line. And then he would reach his hand above his head and he'd draw another line in the sand and he would crawl again until his toes hit that line. And he would do that for hours. I think it was multiple miles that he had to crawl like that until he was at a place that he could rest for a little bit. Baseball is not high stakes like that. Please don't think I'm comparing it to. But that is a perfect illustration of chunking. You break things into chunks and you execute that and then you move on to the next one. That's the first part of brick number 2. The second trait of brick number 2 is something called choice point prioritization. And this may sound technical, but the definition and the application of it is actually very simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. So in every moment that you have a decision to make, there's a choice. And that choice is going to take you either closer to your goals or further away from your goals. And everything is a choice. And I say everything, I mean everything. There are consequences for each choice. And sometimes the choices can be difficult. Sometimes you need to play the short game. Sometimes you need to play the long game. And usually you should play the long game. But everything is a choice. And that also correlates to agency as well. So this ties into agency where you have control of what you can control and let go of the things you can't. This is also where your values and your standards come in and why they're so important to help with decision making. But the whole premise, the whole idea of choice points is that within each decision, you have a choice. Again, this is going to take me closer to my goal, or this is going to take me further from my goal. Think of choice points like swing decisions in your at-bats. Every pitch that comes in, you have a choice of whether you're going to swing or not. right? If the pitch is in your zone, remember, aligned to your values, aligned to your creative player, the player that you want to be, then you swing. If the pitch is not in your zone, if it's outside your values and it doesn't meet your standards and it's not aligned with the player that you want to be, then you don't swing. That's your choice point. Okay. Does it align? Yes, I swing. Does it not align? No, I don't swing. This applies to everything. Do I go train or do I skip it? Do I skip practice? Do I hang out? Do I work hard at practice in the gym, or do I go through the motions to check the box? Do I study for this test, or do I go party and waste my time on TikTok? Okay. Those are choice points. Now remember, you make the wrong choice, you zig when you should zag, you can pull yourself back. That's win the inning. But every decision has a choice. And the examples about this are endless. There are dozens or even hundreds of decisions that you make every single day, and each one will either take you closer or further from your goals. There's a late sports psychologist named Trevor Moawad, and he had a concept called neutral thinking. And I think it fits pretty well here too. And the idea of it is, instead of spiraling into negativity after making a mistake or swinging too far into unrealistic positivity, right? When something goes well, you stay neutral. It's the simple words he uses are, that happened, now what? After a strikeout, for example, instead of thinking, okay, I'm terrible, victim mindset, right? Or thinking, I'm going to hit a home run next time no matter what, which is unrealistic optimism, you stay neutral. Okay, I struck out. What's my next move? I got another at bat. I'm going to go up there and have my at bat next time. That's neutral thinking. From a brain-based perspective, this approach actually strengthens the neural pathways related to resilience and goal-directed behavior. Each time you make a positive choice, even something as simple as choosing to hydrate instead of scrolling through your phone, you're reinforcing the habit of moving towards your goals. And this is especially true if the habit or the action or behavior are things that you don't really want to do, but you know that you should. So you can say, okay, we've got mandatory workouts, or we've got mandatory practice, or you got mandatory study halls, or, things that you say that you're not really in your control that you have to do. You still have a choice. You understand the consequences of that. So if you don't show up to practice, if you don't show up to the team meeting, okay, you understand there's going to be a consequence for that, but it's still a choice that you have. Okay. It's like, I don't want to get up and go for a run in the morning, right? And then hop in the ice bath, especially in the wintertime, but I do it. And when I do, what it does, and same thing with you don't want to do certain things, but you do it because you know you should. Those actually activate a part of the brain called the anterior midcingulate cortex. And this has a role in decision-making, especially under stress, and in increasing endurance and motivation and grit and discipline. So what you're doing is you're training your brain by doing those hard things, by doing the things you don't really want to do, but you know that you should. You're training your brain to be able to make proper decisions and practice more grit and discipline and resilience in stressful times. So those decisions become easier and easier over time. Okay. When you do those hard things, the anterior midcingulate cortex part of your brain lights up in association of that effort to the reward or the outcome. And it rewires to embrace discomfort as a pathway to growth. And research shows that this activation can enhance that emotional regulation as well. So now you're able to control your emotions a little bit better. Okay. So now we're talking about those feelings and those emotions and thoughts again. And that all is correlated with doing things you don't want to do, but you know that you should. Repeatedly engaging in and then pushing through those tough times, you actually strengthen the neural connections to make future challenges seem more manageable. Okay. This is pretty cool stuff. And I want to do a whole episode on the anterior midcingulate cortex soon. We'll do it at some point. It's a really fascinating conversation. And I think one of the things that is going to come of it, and we'll probably talk about it more there, is this whole shift. There's a mindset shift to go from seeking comfort to embracing discomfort to seeking discomfort. It's to go from someone who is comfortable getting uncomfortable to being uncomfortable being comfortable. That's elite. And we're going to talk about that another time. So all of this is choice point prioritization. Okay. We're not done yet. The third trait of brick number 2 is a victor, not a victim mentality. Instead of win or lose, you adopt a win or learn mentality. Okay. That's a different mindset. One of the core traits in achieving success, whether it's on the field or in life is shifting from that victim mentality to a victor mindset. And it means moving away from a fixed win or lose framework and adopting win or learn perspective instead. Because challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but how you respond to them is going to define your trajectory and your ability to move on. Imagine you just struck out at a key moment in the game, right? Big time moment. You're up there. Your team needs you. Your team's counting on you, and you strike out. Now, of course, a victim mentality might focus on blaming somebody else, right? An umpire makes a questionable call, right? The pitcher quick pitches you. You blame yourself. A victor mindset reframes that experience. You analyze what went wrong. You analyze your timing, your swing mechanics, your mindset, your approach, your swing decisions, and you make a plan to adjust for your next at-bat. Because there's always going to be another at-bat until there's not. Okay. Again, agency, controlling what you can control and then letting go of what you can't. That's the whole mindset here. This approach isn't limited to baseball. In leadership, in life, reframing challenges as opportunities for learning is going to keep you moving forward. You're no longer defined by the setbacks, but how you respond to them. In baseball, errors, strikeouts, losses, all of that are part of the game. They just are. Great players understand this, and they use every setback as a stepping stone. Okay, I struck out, but now I've seen a slack. Okay, I gave up a home run, but the next time I know I'm going to pound him, right? I'm going to pound him inside. I made an error, but the next time I'll be more ready to get in the right position for the ball. I understand how the grass is playing. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset emphasizes this principle, and we're going to talk about that in the next episode. And when we view mistakes as learning opportunities rather than failures, we're engaging parts of the brain associated with problem solving and adaptive thinking. Again, that prefrontal cortex comes in. And this not only builds resilience, but also enhances performance under pressure. This whole win the inning brick comes down to a couple things. One is chunking your goals, breaking things into small winnable tasks. Treat each segment like an inning, right? Whatever that time frame is, okay? Break things down into small chunks. Everything is a choice. There's a choice point in every decision that you have. It's either going to take you closer to your goals or further away from your goals. And then reframing setbacks as win or learn or victor, not victim. It's a what's next mentality instead of a why me. And by adopting this mindset, you're not only going to improve your performance, but you're going to build a framework for lasting resilience and success. So there are your first two bricks in the mindset pillar. The inside move for agency and gratitude, controlling what you can control, and then win the inning, chunking, small steps, choice point prioritization, and victor mentality. I'm going to break this pillar into 2 episodes. And so the next episode is going to cover the other 3 bricks in this pillar. We'll see you next time.